I think the average American adult is obese, likely to be divorced, and has less than 1K in the bank. Doing what everybody else does sounds like a great idea, but it's actually a reliable route to a life that you're probably not looking for.
You see, that's because we mistaken what is really a good path forward, which means that things look in a way, but they are actually completely different. It also means that we are tempted to follow everyone else just to fit in, but in the process of that, we are not going to contribute much because, well, we don't bring our own, I guess, uniqueness. You see, one of the great, I would say, directions of life is to discover who you are and have the courage to bring that to the world, because you are invested with energy. And that means that energy has been put there for you to contribute. But in order to contribute something of value, it means to contribute yourself, because you are the value. So if you understand that you are the value, it means that you have to first discover it and embrace it, and then have the courage to bring it. Have the courage to bring it to the world when most of the world might be actually against you. Now, as you are going to see, they are going to also point out to how this idea can actually backfire. Because it doesn't mean that if the world is against you, it means that you're right. It means this would basically mean, hey, do something that everyone is against you, so therefore you're good. I'm like, also that's not correct. And that means that, you see, life is more an art than a science. It's not like you can just like take one predefined path and go like, okay, that's the right way. It's something that you have to use your own intelligence to figure out. Now, if you want to take this in a religious way, think that God gave you a brain such that, and the mind and the spirit and the soul, such that you figure out what's right from what's wrong, despite what other people might say around you. Because you see, you are always going to have people around you, some that are going to tell you, they are going to guide you in the right direction, and some which are going to misguide you. Not necessarily from malicious intent, but more like they are themselves being misguided and they don't know it. And they're just going to repeat the same things that they have learned without knowing. So when you understand this, you understand that, look, although in people around you, you are going to find good and bad in their influence, it's up for you to use your mind, the mind that God gave you, so you can really figure out, by trusting yourself, which is the right way. And this is why life is, in my view, is the perfect design, because nobody really tells you. Or it's not like nobody tells you, it's more like everyone tells you. So therefore you don't really know, right? Even if you have, for example, teachings that are clearly good, you still have to evaluate them. You still have to use your mind, because you don't know until you apply yourself to it. You cannot just take something, go like, okay, I'm going to do it this way because that's what everyone is saying. But keep in mind that masses and groups can also be wrong. How many times, if you look historically, how many times has been proven that groups can also be wrong? Because we have this mass delusion where everyone is reinforcing everyone else, and everyone in the same group believe the same thing. But sometimes that can, the group has a mind on its own, but still can be wrong. And that's why the value of the individual is always to really apply yourself, to try to contribute the highest value that you can, which is you. You are the highest value.
It means that the path to exceptionalism is lonely. And loneliness is something that we decry as a society, that there's something wrong with it, there's something bad, there's something wrong with you if many people disagree with you. But this
You see here, there is another balance that has to be achieved, and which points again to this idea that life is more an art than a science. Meaning, you are part of society and you are part of multiple types of groups. You have a family, and you are always going to be in multiple groups at the same time, which is not bad, right? But then you also have to sometimes have to go privately and reflect and think for yourself. You see, this is not like, oh, choose always to be lonely, choose always to be by yourself, choose always to do the things that you want to do. But it's kind of finding that balance between being together with everyone else, taking what's good from that, but also being with yourself privately, thinking, reflecting, and then living your life as almost like an emergent factor of those two different modes.
If everyone thinks your idea is stupid, either they're right or you're right. And if you
But you see, here still, it's an idea that where it becomes useful only if you apply yourself, only if you reflect, only if you really, like, there is no recipe here. There is no recipe. It's like, oh, if everyone disagrees with you, that means you're right. You're on the right track. You're going to strike it big. No, it's either this way or that way. And eventually it's the individual who decides what they want to believe. Are they going to really properly reflect and investigate and try to put things together in order to really, I guess, find the right path for them moving forward? Or they're going to just take the easy way out, go like, okay, I'm right. By definition, I'm right. Everyone disagrees with me. Nobody, I don't know, likes me. Therefore, I'm right. Like, I'm different. Yeah, different doesn't necessarily mean good.
I'm loosely paraphrasing, but basically it's like we have to be willing to do exceptional things in isolation and deal with the pain of rejection. And some of rejection isn't people saying, no, I don't want to buy from you. Some of rejection is people just rejecting your behavior, rejecting who you're becoming, rejecting the choices that you're making.
Or simply rejecting that you are different. This is actually the most common factor, I would say, because the manifestations, like rejection can manifest in multiple different ways, just like Alex is saying. But I would say that the source of that is you being different. You being different sometimes means that you're going to show to other people something about themselves that they don't want to see. If you dare to be different, some people might find that threatening. And again, there are no recipes in here. Sometimes they are going to be right for you to be different in that way, and sometimes they could be wrong. And who will tell you that? Well, like, there is only one way to find out, because you are living your life and you're responsible for your life, and whatever you do, good or bad in this life, that is, it's the choices that you make, and that's why they matter so much.
And I think those moments are very painful, but you trade those moments for the many moments when you're at home alone, looking at your life around you and saying, this is not what I want.
I don't want to be here.
Right. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be who I am.
And I don't want to be there with them either.
Right. And so it's no man's land.
But I will tell you this, most people don't really get to that point. Truth be told, most people don't really reflect that much, if at all. What Alex is saying, it's true in some very rare cases where you have a person that really pays attention, reflects. But most people are just lost, distracted, and they never get to the point to really look at their life around. Really to evaluate, okay, what's going on in my life? What do I like? What I don't like? What I could do better? How could I serve better? The greater good. Most people, they just like go through from pattern to pattern. They have a job, they go to the job, they come back home, they watch Netflix, eating groceries, regular, like normal everyday life. And that is how their days and weeks and months turn into years. And this is mostly what their life is. They never get to really take a step back and reflect, like, where is my life going? Am I happy with my life? What could I do better?
the amount of doubt that you have to endure when doing this for the first time, when nobody around you understands what you're trying to do, when you're actively being discouraged from making changes and you have no promise of glory or success on the other side of it, is one of the most perfect cocktails of pain and discomfort that you can go through.
That's why life is a perfect test. Many people speculate or just try to come up with definitions for what's life purpose. Why are we here? Well, there is no answer, and there can be many answers. As many people you find, everyone has their own answer. But one angle on that is that you have to really go through your life not knowing. Life is a game of incomplete information, and you can never really have access to full truth. And this is by design, I would say, because this is the only way that you can really see a worthy individual. If you give information to someone, like just one piece of information, not 1,000 pieces of information coming from different sources, but just one piece of information, then people know how to follow it. They'll be like, it's pretty easy. But in our modern lives, we are bombarded with different views on the same information, because everything gets to be interpreted by people. And there you go. This is why it's a game where, if I can call it this way, where you know everything and you know nothing at the same time. And then you have no choice than to apply yourself and believe what you choose to believe, which eventually is going to point to who you are. That's why life is it's the ultimate test. But I would also say, again, personal opinion, that life is the perfect training ground. You see all these challenges, all this unknown, and you're still having to live your life, make choices, like not being able to opt out and otherwise embrace, however you embrace this otherwise great gift that you have. That's really it's a perfect training ground, and it's a perfect testing ground. It's like you are trained and tested at the same time. I think it was Sadhguru, but maybe others also pointed to the same idea that we always have problems. We all have, and we have challenges in our life, but we complain about them. We complain about the problems. We complain about the obstacles, not realizing that those are the opportunity to grow. When you are faced with a challenge, it means that it's an opportunity there for you to grow. And most people try to stay away from problems, stay away from pain, stay away from, discomfort, because they do not want to face what's on the other side. And therefore, most people never get to really grow or to achieve their potential, because they don't want to face that. They don't want to cross that line to go like, wait, obviously I'm doing something that creates some sort of pain. What's going on? And therefore, that is where the transformation happens, when you investigate, when you really apply self-awareness to yourself and to your context and to your life, and then you think, ooh, I see what's going on. And in that, you might see also what you might do different. But like I said, most people never get there.
I actually think that for a lot of people, the first big lonely chapter that they will feel will be after their first success. Because for a lot of people, the first success is done within the frame that they're already inside of. They get to the top of it and realize it wasn't what they wanted. And then some people decide to go back down.
It's because before you achieve your first success, what you have is hope. You have hope that this success that is somehow ahead didn't happen yet. You are working for it. You go through the struggles and to the test that you have to go through. You have hope that once you achieve it, things will turn out different. And the reason why that is really the hardest challenge, and at that point in your life, it's because, well, after you achieve your first success and you crash down and you realize, oh, I thought that this is going to be the end of it. I thought that this is going to be, I achieved this and my life is set. And now I'm here and I look around, I'm like, well, I made a few $1 million and I'm not really that much happy. So then some people realize that, oh, life is an infinite game. And that means that I just have achieved maybe the first layer, financial independence, which is great. Now I have, leverage. I can help other people. I can use my resources for good. And other people might take that as like, oh my God, there is nothing here. So they completely give up. But you see, the higher you climb into, I guess, experience of life, the more you can see. But most people don't realize that it's an infinite ladder. You can grow and grow and grow, and every time when you feel like, oh, I reached the top, there is no top, because consciousness is infinite. And when we apply our finite nature, we are by definition we are finite creatures. When we apply our finitude to consciousness, that's where things start to go wrong, because we confuse our own limitations to what is out there. Again, consciousness is infinite and our mind, our perception is finite. And we shouldn't mix those two.
Local maximums. And it's like the furthest up they can see up the mountain. And then when you get to that new local maximum, you have a different perception than they do, and you can see the next peak and they can't. And
some people don't need to go up the peak, but I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But you see, some people actually don't look up. They look always down. This is why some people stop in I would say, climbing, or more like growing themselves, because they reach to the same, they have these expectations like, oh, I don't know, they set some sort of limits. I want to, I don't know, achieve money, success, whatever. They set a line, right? And if they achieve that, they no longer look up. They think that this is the end. They think like, oh, I reached to the top of the mountain, but because they are no longer looking up to see what's next, they might crash down and go like, okay, they get depressed. I'm like, oh my God, I achieved everything that I wanted. I've reached my potential and life is meaningless. And that's just, I would say that's really the gateway towards the next level. You see, life develops in stages, and that means that for each stage, you have to, once you reach it, let's say you successfully completed that stage, you really have to be able to see with your mind's eye to see that there is more. Because again, consciousness is infinite. Then you can go in every single direction for an infinite amount, but the moment when you stop, that's where it stops.
I was talking to an entrepreneur, really successful, and they were saying, hey, I really want, I want to dominate my market. I want to put everyone else out of business, blah, 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 blah. And I, as somebody who has put people out of business, I will say that it doesn't come with parades and it doesn't come with balloons, and it's not Goliath versus Goliath, because by the time you actually beat them into true submission, it's really like a giant beating a child. It's not satisfying at all. 3, when you see the jobs and the employees that actually worked at the company that were just, living their lives and have kids, and all of a sudden, like, this idea of this conquest that you're going to beat someone feels significantly less rewarding.
We're missing something in here. Business and financial success is not the whole thing. In fact, it's more like a gateway towards spiritual mastery. Through the challenges that you're going to face building your business and hopefully contributing value, because some businesses are just taking value away from people. Think about all the fast foods, all the unhealthy products that all sorts of companies and people are making money with just because they are chasing the money. But they don't recognize that in the challenges that you're going to face building your business, you are also going to upgrade, if I can call it this way, you are going to upgrade your soul. You're going to master your spirit. And then, you see, when you achieve success, financial success, it means that now you are able to contribute more. You are able to have a bigger impact. That's why you're going to see people at the top, people who are highly successful. Some of them are going to start helping out. They're going to put their resources to the greater good. Like I would say Brian Johnson, definitely he is doing that. And other people are going to just like waste the money, do all the stupid things, like, I don't know, just live this hedonistic lifestyle just to satisfy their cravings without really contributing much. And those are, you're going to notice that the people who do this are exactly the ones that they have never built anything of value getting there. And people who are going to put their resources in the serving the greater good are the people who already, when they started their business, they already thought to some degree to how can I also contribute value? Well, this is a seed that it's somehow inside of us. I think it's in everyone, but some people don't really pay attention, or they are so hungry to just get the money, get that which they feel that they need to feel or to cover the hole in their soul. You are going to see that some people starting their business, they try to prove something. They try to achieve financial success so they can get away from that which they are running away. And most of the times they're running away from themselves. Other people or other entrepreneurs starting a business, they think, okay, how can I build something of value that will also bring me financial independence? How can I use this as a ladder of contribution? I start this business, maybe I achieve some success, and then from that I can grow more and I can be more useful for the greater good. Two different modes, two different approaches, and somehow everything coexists. But if you are thinking like, oh, so the people who actually, I don't know, do like take this almost like selfish approach to business are bad, right? I'm like, not necessarily, because in the grand scheme of things, everyone has a purpose. Think about this. Entrepreneurs who actually solve a problem and they want to contribute value, they are solving a problem that other people have created. Most probably the other category. So you see how even when we perceive more purpose or less purpose, good or bad, actually good and bad kind of like work together to achieve this, I would say, like this higher level of evolution. Everyone has, even if we don't really understand it, everyone has a purpose. And that's why it's not so easy to apply labels. Oh, this business is bad, that business is good. It's a bit more complex than that.
When losers lose, they change their goals rather than say they lost. And I think it's more that they might have at some point while they began to lose, maybe it's the first quarter or the second quarter of the game, they're down by a few points, they might have some awareness of what it would take in order to win.
That is true, but sometimes changing your goals is justified. What if you have started with the wrong goal in mind? What if you're chasing the wrong thing? And at one point you might realize, oh, you have this almost like transformative moments in life when you are reflecting, you are applying self-awareness, and you might realize, oh, I've been chasing the wrong goal for the past 5 years. What happens then? Well, then changing your goals actually is good. So which now this invites the question, okay, so then how do you know the difference when I should change my goals and when I shouldn't, when I should stick with them? And I would say, when you want to change or you are considering changing your goals, if you are in a higher mindset, you are having more self-awareness, then when you have set those goals, most probably now this is a justified switch or adjustment. However, if you are in a lower mindset, let's say recently you have, I don't know, lost some money, some things did not go the way you expected, and now you're changing your goals without really have like this higher level of self-awareness, this high vantage point overview, then you're doing it the wrong way. So you see, it matters of where you are. And that's why I said that self-awareness is very important, because if you apply self-awareness, you go like, okay, I'm considering changing my goals. Let me see where I am. Let me see what's going on, what has been happening recently, And therefore, I'm going to understand where is the place, what is the source of my motivation. And then when you do that, you go like, okay, now I know what's going on.
The desire to get one over on this person, it compels you to act in a way which is being puppeted by them in a very odd way.
Yeah, they control you.
Yeah, the person that you're trying to beat has cajoled you and tempted you into doing something that isn't necessarily in your interests. And then when you do reach the finish line, they're never going to say, well played, man, fair fight. Yeah, exactly. No one else knows. It's largely just this silent war between you and your projection of them.
It feels like as an entrepreneur, your goal is to always beat someone else. You have to defeat your competitors. You have to put them down. You have to crush them. Well, you see, if you go one level higher, you're going to realize that in all aspects, we are actually working together even without realizing. Me personally, I like more this approach towards, I'm going to focus on my contribution. I'm not trying to beat anyone. I'm not trying to destroy anyone. I'm just trying to be useful, valuable, and I can contribute the highest value I can to the greater good. And in that, I think, and again, personal opinion, that financial success is pretty much tied to that. I don't really identify with this zero-sum game approach, meaning I win if you lose. I don't think so. And for that reason, although you are going to see, it's an entire industry around this. You look at, I guess, UFC and every sport where one has to win, the other one has to lose. Me personally, it's good. I guess it's good entertainment. I don't follow it that much because I think it's more like a distraction for men especially. But outside of that, if you really apply this to the business, I don't think that it's a healthy way to build your business. I don't think so, because remember, building your business is also a way that you're building your character. So if you build your business based on, I want to destroy my competitors, I want to put them down, I want to be the alpha dog, I want all of this, then that is exactly the character that you are building.
Vengeance and revenge can be incredibly motivating. And if the only fuel that you have is that to get what you want, then use what you have.
Is vengeance really like a good motivator? If that really motivates you, should you do it? No, I don't think so. And that's exactly why, because you are going to build yourself into the wrong character. It's almost like you are trading your soul for your selfish desires. Think about it. If your motivation in business is to beat someone else, to get revenge, that is fundamentally unhealthy. And it's not just unhealthy on you as an individual, but I can guarantee you that even the business, the product, everything that you are going to bring to the market such that you are successful, it's also not going to be healthy, not going to be good for the greater good. So for me, this is an absolute no.
The outcome of beating a specific person is not nearly as fulfilling as you think it will be. But if along the way you can create good from it, then I think that there's some reconciliation of pros and cons that happens, of like good stuff happened, bad stuff happened, and is there more good than bad?
You see, Alex here is hopeful in his idea that if along the way you can make something good happen, well, that's a big if in there. And I'm saying the way things are set up, it's more clear that you're not going to bring anything good, because you have to look at the source of your motivation. The source of motivation really matters, and that is going to that is going to affect everything that you're bringing. Like everything that comes as a result of that is going to be tainted from that source. So therefore, his expectations hardly they play out in this way.
Sum up at the end.
And one more thing, what is more likely to happen is that you are going to, if you chase revenge, one thing that was going to happen is that, okay, maybe that is going to make you more financially successful, possibly. But again, you are going to pay an invisible price. And that is the price of your character and who you become as a person, and also the value that you bring. So for me, this is one of those invisible trades. Remember, we have spoken about life is a game of unknown and working with unknown information and a lot of unknowns. Well, that's the thing here. You are going to trade something visible, the money, the success, the status. You are going to trade it for something invisible, your character, your spirit, your soul. And that is something that's exactly why it's a perfect test. Because if you can see that, if you can focus on that, if you can prioritize the invisible more than the visible, that means that you already are at the next level. It's easy to just prioritize what's visible, right? But the real test is like, can you see with the eyes of mind? Can you see what's beyond the visible? And again, that points from my perspective that life is a test.
A lot of this feels to be about the expansion of time, being able to see things on a broader time horizon. Is that fair?
Time and space. I think those are the two things that can shrink or expand anything. I think playing with time and space as ways to cope with hardship is one of the most valuable tools that you can have in terms of getting through
To
hard
zoom
times.
into enjoyment, zoom out of difficulty.
Of pain. Yeah.
Considering time and the passing of time and putting things in perspective is very valuable for a reason that they did not mention, which helps you to, it gives you a chance to really have a look on an outlook of your life. And it gives you a chance to really see more than when you are too busy with your business. I want to build this, I want to achieve that. I have tasks, I have goals, I have to, do all sorts of things. But when you zoom out and you take time in consideration, that is really where you can achieve personal transformation. Because when you take this step back and look at your life and your business and everything inside, you might realize, you might see some things that otherwise you will not see.
A man must have a quest. And I just really, really like that. It's like you need to do something. You need to go towards something. And your quest could be being the best father. It could be being the best musician or the best podcaster or the best businessman or the best tire replacer or the best sweeper. Whatever it is. But like, I think being questless, being aimless, and never being able to use the violence that you are capable of in the pursuit of an endeavor that you find meaningful is where people find themselves lost and without hope. Because hopelessness comes from a perceived lack of options. We don't know what to do.
So let's start from hopelessness. Well, hopelessness is more like believing that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter, it will not change anything, nothing will change. And I absolutely agree that everyone, not just men, but also women, everyone should have a quest. And not just a quest, but multiple quests, because those are personal challenges. You see, one of the great things about being alive is to achieve yourself, to really transform your weaknesses into your superpowers. And that is a worthy goal. Realizing what you're weak at. Maybe some people have weakness with, let's say, emotional control. Other people have impulses around money and all sorts of things. But recognizing where is your personal challenge and setting a quest such that you transform that into a superpower, like you really grab control instead of acting, mindlessly, repeating the same loops, going through the same patterns. Grabbing control of that and say like, oh, this is my personal challenge. I need to change this. I need to do something about it. And you set a quest for it. Absolutely. And guess where having a quest, going after a personal challenge solves hopelessness. When you take action, when you take responsibility onto yourself and maybe where you are lacking, and then you work for it, guess what? If you continue, if you are persistent, eventually you are going to get results. And that is exactly what is the solution to hopelessness. Because once you see that there is a direct bridge between results and your actions, then you are going to be hopeful. Next time when there is a challenge, you are not going to feel like, well, it doesn't matter what I do. Whatever I do, it doesn't matter. I'm a failure. I will never succeed. And all these patterns that so many people are trapped into. But when you do that and you learn the fact that, oh, I actually can change my life. I can design myself. I can better myself so I can be more useful. That is where a quest is useful for your personal transformation. And guess what? When you do this, challenges are becoming easier and easier because you're no longer running away from them, but now you have learned that, oh, I can play an active role. I can be the designer of my life.
All of us will die trying. And I think, well, rather all of us will die. Some of us will die trying. And I think that's about as good of a life as I think anyone can really ask for.
You see this idea of all of us were going to die trying. Well, trying is the success. That's the point, because in this context, it's kind of assumed that you are trying, but you're not being successful, right? But not realizing that the journey is the transformation, the journey is the success. The success that you really want is the personal transformation, right? It's the invisible transformation. So then, even if you don't achieve the financial success, the visible, the quantifiable things that can be seen, that can be, everyone can point out, you can brag with them, even if you don't do that, for as long as you try, you are successful.